Atlantic Wrestling Talk. I am your host, Andy, joined by, as always, by my co-host, Dale. How we doing, my brother?
Possibly the most open-ended question that you could ask somebody when you ask them, how are you? How's your life? Have you watched anything that's terrible lately? I'm going to actually say I'm okay. I'd like to welcome everybody for coming back and watching the show. It's been quite some time. You wouldn't really know about the show. We haven't been on, but we've been dealing with things. Good things. Very good things. One of the things that wasn't good, though, was a pay-per-view, Andy, that you asked me to watch. You asked me to watch Bad Blood 2003. And let me tell you something. Because of this is why I hate you the most in life right now. That pay-per-view was awful. Bad Blood 2003.
It had some good stuff and some bad stuff. It wasn't that terrible.
This is at the point where I almost stopped watching, to be honest with you. Behind me right now is Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. And this was one of the... We're going to get into it. Listen, anytime a bad day watching wrestling is a good day, is better than a good day at work. Is that correct?
Oh, sorry, Dale. I think we lost you there. It was 2 seconds, guys. And we'll get this sorted out. Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Dale?
I can.
Oh, you've got a bit of a lag on yourself at the moment, mate.
Let me sign off and sign back on. Can we do that?
Okay. This is what you get when you get live TV. I'm here on my own. Thanks for watching, the guys who are watching. How is everyone doing? We're gonna be back. We're gonna be back on with it in a sec. How is everybody today? All good. But pay-per-view, I know Dale was saying there that it was a really bad pay-per-view. It wasn't a great pay-per-view, but it wasn't too bad. I thought there was some good parts about it. Hoi.
And you have me fully now?
Ooh, it still sounds a bit crackly.
Okay. How about now? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. How about now?
Bit better.
Yeah? Hold on. How about now?
It's a bit better yet.
Hold on. We're going to crank this up to 11. And here we go.
That sounds better yet. Much better.
Okay. So there's no lag whatsoever?
No, it's a bit crackly. I don't know whether there's something wrong with the wire or something.
Let's do this one other time. How about now?
Speak now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, it's a bit better, yeah.
How about now?
No, it's gone worse again.
Now.
Nope, still worse. Ooh, dear. Sounds a bit better. I don't know whether it's my headphones. They'll just give me 2 secs. I think it's my headphones. Just give me 1 second. I turn Bluetooth off on this. You speak now for us? Can't hear you at all, Dale. We've lost you completely, pal. Oh, give me a second. Let me just try something. Oh, can you hear me now, Dale? Can you hear me? Because I can't hear you. Nope, nothing at all. Let's go a bit old school here, shall we? Try these. Oh, I can't hear you at all, though, mate. I can hear YouTube, so I can hear myself on there, but for some reason. Sorry about this, guys. We'll get it sorted out, as we always do. Oh, give me 2 seconds, Dale. Let me just add you back in, my brother. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, you're back again. You're back in the room. Sorry, bear with me 1 second while I just change my headphones.
Okay. I don't know what happened. They had me at mute for a while. So the icon on the bottom actually had me at mute. You hear me now?
I've got you back.
Perfect.
Here we go. Perfect.
All right. There we go.
Right, let's start again, shall we?
All right. So we're going to redo this?
Yeah, I wish we were still recording instead of doing it live, because we wouldn't.
There you go. All right. All right. Perfect. So do I queue back up? Because I don't see you, Andy.
You can't see me now?
I do not see you.
Ah, that's right. There we go.
Perfect. Okay.
There we go. Right, guys, we are back up and running. Apologies about that. It's we've had a couple of weeks off here, and also we've got a bit thingy. So
Yeah, we're back.
right,
Look,
Dale,
we're back.
As you were, sir. As you were.
Absolutely. So let me get back into that. So we had several weeks off here. And before that, you wanted to pay me back from the Slamboree 1996 Lethal Lottery, okay? It was bad on your end. It was okay on mine. But you gave me the lethal injection of Bad Blood 2003. This would have been a pay-per-view that actually would have deterred me from running away from actual wrestling fandom. And I'm watching this and I'm just scratching my head going, why was this a thing? Why did this happen? So for you, Andy, this is why when you brought this up to me and you told me to watch this and I watched this, I had to split this up. And that is why you are the person I hate the most today, sir.
Well, payback's a bitch, isn't it?
Thank you. Thank you. We start off here. We're going into Houston, Texas. We have Bad Blood. I'm sorry. No, that's 2003, correct? We're in
2003, we are.
Yeah. So right now we have commentators Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, Carlos Cabrera, Hugo Savinovich. Who did Hugo Savinovich end up marrying?
I do not know. Go on.
Wendy Richter.
Fucking hell, did he?
Yeah, good for him, huh?
Crazy, that. Crazy.
I know.
Well, I've got a few observing straight away from what I've seen in this. So
yeah.
some positive as well. So my first 2 ones from the first thing that I noticed, and I always write stuff down. I've got it down on my laptop here. So first one, see, I'm all techie nowadays, mate. I've got everything in front of me. So. Okay, so my first observation was, I love the way they used to do stage specific to the event. Thought that was awesome. My second one is the actual right hand side of the stage, which I believe are blood droplets of blood.
Mm-hmm.
Actually look like what I'd assumed Donald Trump's testicles look like.
Yes,
It
but
looks like
with the recent
full-on red ball bag.
Right, but with the recent events, which just transpired a couple of hours ago, from what we heard, they might be Vince McMahon's right now.
Well, let's hope, isn't it? Scumbag. But we'll
Yep.
get into a little bit about Vince because, as we were talking off air before, this some of the stuff that was relevant here is probably more relevant now, and something that, I watched this event before to make sure it's fresh in my memory before we went live with it. And some of the
Yeah.
stuff I noticed on there, without the news that's been coming out, I potentially wouldn't have noticed it as much that I have
He
now.
he has booked himself. Vince McMahon has booked himself into being a scumbag, with woman. So why is this too far fetched from what his persona is in real life? We've always said,
Mm,
Andy, that the greatest characters are parts of themselves, in wrestling. So
mm.
why wouldn't that same theory, no pun intended, be part of the example of that actual wrestler or that character themselves? And to me, Vince McMahon is just somebody that likes to throw money and and has all this power in the world.
He really does. Well, we'll get into it and we'll get to Vinny Boy at the time when I feel like it's going to be very relevant. If some of you guys have seen this pay-per-view, you'll know exactly which part of it that we're talking about.
Yep.
But we'll go into the first match, and the first match on the card was Christopher Nowinski and Rodney Mack, along with Theodore Long, and they went up against the Dudley Boys, Bubba and Devon. I liked the little video package. Even back then, WWE was still the same. They still hit it nail on with these video packages. It made you feel like you kind of, even after all these years of probably not seeing it and you forget bits and bobs, it makes you feel like you remember everything because the way that they just recap things is brilliant. And in this one, it was the bit where Nowinski's trying to get into Devon's head and he's saying, well, why'd you let your white brother tell you to go and get the tables? And it was good work by Devon because he kind of stops and he's mulling it over a little bit and stuff. It's really good work. What did you think of that?
So, not to get too far ahead with this going into the match, but this happened right on Sunday Night Heat, an hour
Mm.
maybe before that, and they wanted to recap just in case because Heat was kind of a throwaway show, especially before pay per view. I don't really. I think the only times you really watch Heat is right before pay per view. You change it from USA Network to go into the pay per view network itself, but they recapped it for you, and they said, "Hey, this happened 25 minutes ago, so here, this is what happened." Chris Nowitzki is probably one of the most decorated people after their wrestling career, and his contributions after wrestling are landmark. Not sure if you know exactly too much, Andy, what's going on or what Chris has been contributing with. He's been doing tons of CTE research, and has been an avid speaker on behalf of brain injury and brain trauma.
Yeah.
He is, and it is his gimmick, but there it is once again. I think the theme of the day is living your gimmick and also being
Mm.
having that a part of you. He went to Harvard. The guy was a smart dude. He was on Tough Enough as well. He didn't win it, but they saw enough of a future in this guy, and he was he was able to get some heat too, calling people stupid. I mean, we all remember him and Matt Hardy going out into the middle of the ring at Survivor Series 2002, calling the people of Madison Square Garden lupid. And then Scott Steiner came out and beat the crap out of them. But Nowitzki was just able to goat people like he did with Devon here, with Rodney Mack too. Anybody remember Rodney Mack? Still wrestles.
Mm. Yeah, and do you know what? It was just a really solid match, and I liked the story in the match where Nowitzki was trying to get into the heads. I also liked the fact of they used the thing he had on his face to play into the fact of what was going on. You know what I mean? So it was pretty good, pretty good.
Pretty good. They ended up beating the Dudleys.
Mm-hmm.
I
It
think
is.
I think that's actually two pay per views in a row, Andy, where you and I talk about the Dudleys actually losing. And the first one was when they faced the Eliminators. when we did that. I guess it was Barely Legal, might have been. But at that point, you start seeing how they do end up separating, and I do believe that this would actually introduce Leviathan, aka Dave Bautista, as Deacon Batista for Brother Devon, and you better testify. Really weird.
That was before, and this is when they got back together, wasn't it? It was Batista with he was with Evolution at this point.
You know what? I'm just gonna go behind here and go fuck myself.
I think it's wise.
You are absolutely right. Yeah. Well, you know what? I should have done that before I watched this pay-per-view. But yeah, absolutely. You are absolutely right. And they ended up staying together. They would end up burying Paul Bearer. No, in a literal sense, in concrete, but that'll be down the road here. But that'll be a year from now, I do believe. But yeah, it's a throwaway match. It really didn't lead to anything. I think if anything, it's just fun to see a kind of stockier looking Teddy Long get out there with Rodney Mack, and Rodney Mack still wrestles today in NWA. And I think he didn't really have too much fame to claim to fame in WWF, did he?
No.
You right now, okay, let's put it out there. Besides the technical delay here, you are really starting to try and pump yourself up with this. As I'm talking about this pay-per-view, you're just like this visceral hatred because you are self-loathing. You are so hating on yourself right now because of this. You did this to yourself.
I'm not going to say not, mate. I know for a fact there's sorry, bear with me 1 second while I just change my headphones because these are doing my head in.
See, the problem here is
I can't hear you. I'm blessed.
That's okay. Our technology right now is just showing us how much this pay-per-view was just reeking of shit. Okay?
I still can't hear you.
Good. That's a good thing. But we're just proving right now how much of a putrid pay-per-view this was, okay? Our technology is not working right now. Andy's hair looks like he kind of looks like the Red Rooster. I hear you. But the good thing is that you can't hear me, sir. So we could say anything. We could tell him how much Everton sucks, how much we're upset that Boris Johnson ended up leaving, or he got kicked out of Parliament. I'm sure he'll be. Yeah, he caught that one, didn't he? He's ready. Anyway, just what an absolute mess. I'm going to lead us into the second match here, though, and this is kind of more nostalgic side because you're looking at two different people, which are kind of very similar, but you had two different paths. One was being pushed to the moon, which ended up being Test, and yeah, that didn't really go into anything. Then you had Scott Steiner, who was a new recruit, I guess you could say, from about 7 months earlier. They're fighting for the services of Stacy Keibler at this point. All right.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Now, who were you rooting for in this one, Andy?
Stacy's legs.
I wasn't much of a leg guy, but I saw the appeal in that.
No, I wasn't. I'm not myself, but at the same time, you've got to appreciate Stacy Keibler.
Yeah. She's a Hall of Famer, right, for them?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
Tory, you're getting them mixed up with. But them two always used to come together, didn't they?
Yeah, it was like peanut butter and jelly. They were like a nice sandwich that every guy wanted to take a bite out of. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Did I sound like Vince right there?
Or be the villain.
Edit that out. But anyway, this was an actual thing. I think they had some different types of competition here. Test was really misogynistic asshole during this whole feud. It was just really weird to watch, as they're trying to fight for the services of Stacy Keibler. But we had the Terry Invitational tournament that we spoke about several months ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, we had the tit tournament.
Yeah, and just between that, we had the first bit was the Stone. Before we got to this match, we had the Stone Cold Eric Bischof first round with the dubbed over burps. Don't you be trying to get away with it. It was gold.
So they really try to omit that usually as we watch these pay-per-views and as reference for time reasons and pacing reasons, Andy and I will go over through Wikipedia and just talk about, we'll look at the match listings all the way at the bottom. I'm sure everybody's done it. Sometimes we read little blurbs, and I managed to try to skip through this, but someone wanted to bring up the fact that some of the worst TV for a pay-per-view ended up happening. The Redneck Triathlon took place. Okay, so you would have those backstage vignettes. Like I always said, I'm a huge fan of the TV that's being produced here, and you like to have a good laugh, or actually like to participate, know how matches happen and what storylines happen. The Redneck Triathlon was a wheel behind Steve Austin and Eric Bischof, and all you would hear is, them talking about how they were better at being rednecks. I guess I don't know. I'm not sure. You guys have gypsies over there. We have rednecks. Do
Yeah,
your
along with
gypsy
gypsies.
do your gypsy people do this though? Do you guys have like triathlons? What do you guys do? Wheelbarrows?
No. Mm, horses and carriages.
Do you? Do you
Mm.
try to push them uphill?
Yeah, sometimes I suppose.
Do you have a burping contest with them?
No, I
No.
think that's just a WWE thing. But one thing I wanted to say on this is Eric Bischoff was on fire here. He really was.
Bischoff
He
was
just the way,
entertaining.
yeah, he turned around and he was like, his little face, and he was like, "Oh, that one was wet."
I think at that point, because remember, he was on TV for nearly 10 years at that point. So he's very accustomed to being entertaining, being able to talk to crowds, all that, and talk in front of crowds too. The NWO stuff made him become a heel, and obviously he's been better suited in that role. It didn't really work out too well with the whole Eugene character as his quote unquote nephew. Was that his nephew?
He was, yeah. Eugene was his nephew, yeah.
Eugene was his nephew, okay, and it was brought up, and it was just very odd, very odd. But I don't know, man. Like it just you had the burping contest, and this would lead into what? Or should we wait? You know what? Let's wait. Let's wait until we get into that whole
Yeah,
mix up.
let's keep it in chronological order, shall we?
Yeah, because it's key
But
here.
yeah, back to the Scott Steiner test match. It was a good story. It was all right. Scott was his normal self. Test was just as the two of them. Really good match between the two of them. I'm not gonna lie. Thought Stacy actually added to the match here, which was good. Told a good story. At one point, I remember this match and I still thought Test was gonna win.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was really good because that's what you want them to make you think and they want them to do. So, it was really, really good the way that it worked like that.
I got a good one for you, especially because it's stating for today. It's kind of is about today. Do you think that having a girl manager works only for heels?
Depends. So it does only work for heels in the sense of if the like the wicked fellas stuff like that. But the likes of went to Jerry with Tori, that worked quite well. Tori Wilson.
That's
The
like
little
an
bit
odd couple, right? But that isn't that like an odd couple pairing type of like, oh, look at how opposite they are.
yeah, I mean, Lita with the Hardy Boys, that worked. So it can work the opposite way as well. But
Good
I
point.
think with the heel manager, a heel women's manager can fit in anywhere. Where I feel like a face women's manager, like the likes of Miss Elizabeth with Macho Man, because let's face it, Miss Elizabeth with the NWO didn't really fit in too well, but then she did because it was a heel faction. When she was with Ric Flair, she didn't really, but again, because it was a heel faction, she didn't really look out of place. But could you imagine putting Trish Stratus with the Hardys? I don't think it would have fitted.
No, although
Do you
I'd
know what I
like
mean?
to, yeah.
Or, with Sensational Sherry, with Babyface Macho Man, could you have seen that?
No, and that's why I think Sherry, when she tried to be a
Mm,
babyface manager for Janetti for that like 2 month span or whatever that was, that month or that match, I
mm,
should say.
yeah,
What was that, Royal Rumble 92? I think it was Royal
it
Rumble 90.
was.
Yeah, Royal Rumble 92 when Janetti came
Mm,
back. Or 93?
93, yeah, because 92 she was still with Shawn.
Yeah, so okay. So when he came back, when Jannetty came back, she managed him. That didn't even work out well.
No.
But I do think that it could work. You brought up an interesting point. Would Trish Stratus work as a manager for the Hardy Boys? No, but I would like to see her not fit into Lita's pants. Oh shoot, did I say that? Strike two. Sorry, I got Vince McMahon on the mind here.
It's like Marlena with Goldust when he was that fitted in no matter which way he went because of the fact that she fitted in with that character.
Did
And
she?
that's what I'm saying is
Okay, all right. But do you remember her ever screwing anybody out of a match against Goldust?
no, because that was never their character, was it? And with Goldust per se, he was never really a heel, was he? But he was just, they put him against some really top baby faces like Roddy Piper that time.
Without a doubt, he was a heel. Whoa, hold on.
No, but he wasn't your normal heel. He wasn't your normal heel because he was like this asexual, crazy.
He was still a heel. He was a heel, and then all of a sudden turned babyface when China came around when he was feuding with Triple H.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he wasn't your loud mouth thingy, so Teddy didn't really need to get involved there. Just standing there in the background was enough. Do you know what I mean? So that character was interchangeable because of the way that Goldust was. Because you know what I mean? He was still, whether he was a heel or whether he was a face, he was still that calm and all that. At that specific time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think that it does make sense. Like I did hear this, and it just does make sense. Like from Cornette, and I totally agree with it because I could see it. Like I do believe that because they have Ty Conti with Sammy, and they're a real life relationship, and it's working. I think that works. From today's standards. The whole girl manager heel thing, I think makes a lot of sense because you want the chick. I think it worked out when you wanted Sunny. Sunny was, to us, I mean, she was probably the best heel female manager here. I hate saying girl manager, but I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not PC enough with that, But whatever. That's Hollywood, baby.
I mean, the other thing that you've got to watch, though, is like sometimes the girls can take if they're like, Lita's a good example of this, same as Trish Stratus. She elevated Test and Albert in that tag team, Trish did, and she was really good with them. Same with Lita, she elevated the Hardys, she was good with them. I'm not saying she made them better, but she added to it. Where sometimes Sable, Sunny, they can kind of take away from the talent, and that's where it starts becoming a problem. Where at the moment, especially where Tay and Sammy, if you want to say, is that them two, they are they're near each other, should we say. There's not one of them is taken away from the other, and it's working out quite well because of that.
I agree. I'm trying to think of like modern day, teams that are in WWE right now that have that.
Well,
I mean,
Lana was a good one, wasn't it? But them two together as a heel team worked brilliantly. But once they started to turn Rusev, when the Rusev Day stuff and all that come in, it didn't work for him and Lana together then.
Karrion Kross.
Well,
with Scarlett.
Karrion Kross, that I think that's a bit different because in NXT it worked perfectly. They had the great entrance, they had everything else going for them, and then when they took her away from the main roster, which I don't understand why they done that, then that was where we all went wrong anyway. Do you know what I mean? So there was never. Do you get me?
Yeah. I think that and sorry to digress from the bad blood.
I don't think you can really include them in that kind of bad thing because I don't feel they had a chance.
Not to go too into it, but I do wish that they actually hire him back.
Yeah,
he's too talented. He's too talented, without a doubt. Anyway, Stacy Keibler ends up going out here with Scott Steiner, and it ended up working out pretty well here for both of them. Stacy was kind of passed around from person to person. I think they just wanted to keep her on payroll because she got ratings. You cannot deny the fact that she got ratings. She had more personality than Tori Wilson, without a doubt.
Do you think? Yeah.
Yes.
I always liked Tori, me.
This I'm not a guy that's sitting here saying that I didn't like Tori Wilson. I just really think that we did Judgment Day 2004, and remember she faced Dawn Marie, and had that terrible match. Except everybody popped when there was that wardrobe malfunction. This is because Tori Wilson ended up doing something for the big show that ended up hurting Kurt Angle. Blah blah blah. they had to like throw stuff in there. You can't just give Tori Wilson a live mic and expect her to make magic. Stacy Keibler was somebody that could do that. Remember, she was the one that would announce testicles and the crowd would pop. She came out with the Dudleys, the crowd would pop. You know, for her, I think that was just a stupid mixture, but it still worked out. I don't know. But yeah, so that match happened. And then I do believe that we go into the second part of the triathlon. Would you like to take it away with that?
So Eric Bischof basically tries to turn around and blag that he's singing when he's not singing. Oh no, sorry, it's not, is it? Oh no, 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 no. I'm on the right. So when I turned around and said before about how Vince McMahon and how this was relative and stuff like this, well, this is the part where we're at, you know, and basically what happens here is the second one was Poontang Pie, as the Rock used to call it. And Eric Bischoff had a nice little array of ladies that he had in a room because he'd gone out to sort the best pies possible. Go on, Dale. Go from there.
Well, the one was blueberry. One looked like chocolate cream. One looked like a cream pie. One kind of looked like a cherry pie, you know, without Janie Lane from Warren in there. I'm telling you, I think there was, you know, a good variety of women there. And I do believe that this was just Johnny Ace saying, how about we get that guy over here? And then he'll call up some whores down the block. And then we have them just come through the door, go through the back door. You know what I'm saying, Vince? And then you and I could do stuff with her later on.
Yeah, well, it was scary. Very scary. So Eric Bischoff argues with Stone Cold and he turns around and he goes, okay, that we're going to turn around and I'll make the first pick. Austin goes, okay, I can pick the one for you. You know what's going to happen. Well, you don't know what's going to happen, but you know it's not going to be normal anyway. So anyway, we go through it and through it and through it. Come out to the ring. Eric Bischoff's waiting. And Dale, who comes out, my friend?
You hear the pianos playing, and this is Mrs. Mae Young in the most sexiest, cobweb-riddled lingerie I've ever seen.
Yeah. And just for any of you guys who don't know who Mae Young is, her son performs at WrestleMania this year. He actually helped Johnny Knoxville in his match against Sami Zayn.
She gave birth to a hand, folks. And I don't think that Mark Henry was on this card. So once again, a vacant dad there. So I apologize for that. But he will come back, though, which is a good thing. You know, he supports that hand. It's just disturbing, though, the humor. I didn't find it too funny. You know, I was fresh out of high school at that point. I don't really, like, I get it. But if I wanted to watch porn, I'll find it anyway. So for these I was able to. It's just, to me, it was just in poor taste. Like, haha, it's funny. There's Poontang Pie. But, you know, come on.
I just say, you know, Mae Young does take her dress pants off or lift the dress up. And she's wearing what Mickey used to wear. I don't really say much more than that. And then she gives Eric the Bronco Buster.
The worst move ever in the history of wrestling.
Yeah, I'm sure. I seen a cloud of dust as she jumped into this move, but I can't be sure on that. But yeah, just to go back to this, Dale, obviously I said that it was relevant more than any. When you watch back at this, you know, you've got this part of it, but also at the same time, you've also got the part with Stacy Keibler where it's the step in and out with the legs, and you know, there's so much sexualization of women on this show. With the Poontang Pie and the Stacy Keibler part and whatnot, it's just really poor taste, and it's just when I look back at it now and watch it, you know, when I was a kid, don't be wrong, I was laughing my head off. Even watching it then, I laughed my head off, but it just gives you an insight into Vince's mind a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the first time I've watched that since I was a kid, and you know, I'm a father to a little girl, and now when I watch stuff like that, sometimes I go, ooh, do you know what I mean?
Yes, I'm trying to like word this without trying to get jumped on if for the people that listen. I think there's a strong difference between a cheap pop and something in a more sexual, tasteful matter. You mentioned Stacy Keibler slowly entering the ring. She bent down. You were able to see a lot, okay, but she was in control of that. Having girls fight and their clothing be taken off, and just stripping down in front of people. You could tell that it was just really distasteful. Even that footage of Trish Stratus barking like a dog. I think I even turned off the TV at that point when I was a kid. I'm not just saying this either. To me, it's just weird. Like, why do you have to do this? And exposing Mae Young like that, Mae, give her a lot of credit, because the fact that she would put her body on the line and then, also do sexual stuff like this, and also some people would put it. I heard they were called the yams back in the day. That would take off the top. It's just not a good look. Especially with the allegations coming out. Like, you understand who's the person that said, "Look, let's do this, pal. Let's drive it home." All right, I'm gonna get the front, you get the back, Vinny. That's the first time I ever tried that, by the way.
Yeah. Well, quick segue. We go on to our next match. We had Christian got defeated by Booker T in a Intercontinental Championship match, but he didn't win the title, did he?
I'm applauding this match because this is one of my favorites. This is when they let the ball start rolling with Christian. This is when they actually said, "You know what, dude? Take the title, run, and get the mic and be that heel that you could be alone." And this worked out so well. Fresh haircut, was able to run around with that title, won a battle royal by debauchery for with Booker T when he got eliminated from a battle royal in Raw. Nobody saw it. Came back in, eliminates Booker T. Kind of like, who is that? Steve Austin and Bret Hart, 1997 Royal Rumble, correct? Mm-hmm. If nobody sees it, if the tree falls in the forest and nobody's able to hear it, right? Does it happen? Anyway, I love this. I did love this match. This is one where you could sit there and be like, okay, these guys, you have some time that you could allocate for them. Booker T was just, you could tell how good Booker was. We talked about how well of a striker he is, a very underrated striker, when we watched him go hand to hand with Taker at Judgment Day 04. Watching this match, though, you knew that they had faith in Christian and wanted a good heel run with him. This was the best match on the card for me. Best match on the card. I know you might differ with it, but I love this match because I'm a huge fan of Christian. I've been told I look like him, so I kind of have that affinity. But
I didn't like the referee spot.
Was it Corderis?
No, it wasn't.
Who? The referee spot. Oh, okay. All right. I get that. I get it.
Yeah. I didn't like that at all. Since when has a referee had the authority to say, if you don't get back in the ring and I count you out, I'm going to take the title off you? And then also, when Christian hits him with the belt and then turns around and takes the title off him, again, I look at it and I go, okay, well, if you were just going to do that to him for doing the count out, why don't you take the belt off him for disqualifying?
He listened to the ref. He listened to the ref, though.
Yeah, but he did. But what I'm saying is, the referee could have turned around and said, right, I've had enough of you now. You've done that on purpose. I'm taking this belt off,
Heels find the loopholes. And the baby faces will find ways to win without cheating. And will find ways to do it. The fine line was blurred, though, when Eddie Guerrero came in and did it, though.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a different catalyst fish, wasn't
he? He changed this. He changed this by all accounts, man. I mean, this was something that was just enjoyable. I like the fact that Christian said, all right, fuck you. I'm going to get DQ'd anyway, and you can't do a thing about it.
That's the thing, though, because the referee done that other bit. That's what annoyed me. Because it was like
Okay.
you should have, if you're gonna do him for one thing, you should be on him for everything. Like even if you restarted the match at that point, you should have restarted the match. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't have just turned around and gone, "Oh no, piss off."
This could have been solved. Okay, but this could have been solved 3 years prior, right? If they actually unionized the refs and they established the credibility.
Jesus Christ. But I'm not gonna sit here and shit on the match because it was a good match. It was just that part just really annoyed me.
Of course, yeah. But Christian retains somewhat. Christian still holds on to the belt. Says fuck it. I don't need to win right now. But I think this is technically what you call. And by the way, this is a Raw brand pay-per-view, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what you call a throwaway pay-per-view. So you could have some throwaway matches on here, and this is one of them. So this will lead to a future match, which makes sense. Anyway, this is exhausting, this pay-per-view. Between the technical difficulties that we had here, the disgustingness that we're finally uncovering and seeing, ooh, this is kind of like a bad shed of the company, and this is skin that needs to be shed. We are muscling through this, folks, just so the people that listen are just like, ugh, God, I can't believe they actually listened to this and watched this. We did it for you, so you don't have to do it ever again. But we will lead into this next match here, though. And I will say, with one of my more underrated tag teams that I appreciated, what are your thoughts on La Resistance, Andy?
I liked La Resistance. Even to this day, I still like Rene Dupree as a whole. I think he's a cool guy. If you haven't already done so, guys, check out Cafe de Rene podcast. It's a really, really good podcast. I think he's really good in the ring. I think he's never going to be the best promo in English. Potentially could be in another country, but another language, should we say? But he's done really, really well, and you could see why WWE high on him here because again he was really good in the ring. But again, good storytelling here. There was the bit where they probably come to the point where they were looking to split up Kane and RVD. We got to this point where it was starting to get a bit sketchy with them. There was all this stuff that had gone on with them with the obviously got beat up by La Resistance. Kane didn't come out and help him. They had separate entrances. There, a lot going on here, and the whole match was based around this, and really, really good WWE storytelling in this match.
We have new tag team champions from this. Somehow, Kane and RVD fall victims to La Resistance. It sounds like it was a very long celebration, by the way, which was weird. Yeah. For a pay-per-view, usually it just says, all right, they run up the ramp and they focused on them for a while. I've always said that the worst version of Kane is when he was more human. It's proven right here because RVD is kind of skeptical about like Kane's intentions and if he really wants to be champion, which is just odd because this is wrestling. It's like, it's almost like Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
It's a 20-year ago Sasha Banks. That's what this is. The one thing I will say is that this was a pay-per-view match again that will lead into something bigger. Just like the last match did for wrestling-wise and a match-wise, this will lead into something where you will see finally a demonic Kane. Okay?
Yeah.
And this is when we see Kane's mask. This will lead to Kane's mask being taken off. And probably, you could quote me on this too, some of the best TV and character work over the past couple of decades for WWE. I mean, you could counteract me if you think I'm wrong with that, Andy.
No, I'll have that, mate. I agree with you on that one. And as I said, even these where RVD flips over the rope, hits Kane, he gets tucked in, double team finisher. Really good. All in all, it was really good because they started at the start. They give them the update where Kane didn't help RVD. Then in the match, RVD hits Kane over the ropes to use the tag belt. It's all building. Back then, they used to start stories and build them bit by bit and plant the seeds really, really well. Really well.
Yep.
Something I don't believe they do as well nowadays.
I think that people just want to grab at long-term storytelling and want to say anything's long-term storytelling, and that's fine. You know, who are we to determine what is in somebody's memory more than others? That's why you and I talk about things, and we have to
Hmm.
kind of do refresher courses on this. It's not a big deal. You know, it's just, is it valid as a story? I don't know. I think more of it's coincidental, like the Adam Page run. I think that's
Yeah,
more coincidental. I don't think that's long term storytelling. I think it's
no.
terrible storytelling. By the way, CM Punk's title reign was better than Adam Page's title reign.
Well, yeah. But
All
that's
3 days.
it. That was just on to get the win. It was really, really good win, and set them on the way. Unfortunately, they just never reached the heights that I thought they were potential for. And then we move on to the next match: Goldie versus Chris Jericho.
Why won't you
Goldberg.
say his name?
Well, do you know what? I am going to say his name, Goldberg. I don't like Goldberg. I don't like the way he thing. I liked his initial WCW run, but after that, I've always liked good matches in ring, and he's not really an in-ring performer. What I'll say is, though, Jericho got one of the best matches I've ever seen of Goldberg out of this.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. That's why it's
Mm.
another highlight for me. I do believe that there was animosity. This was
Oh,
worked.
did you see how
This is almost,
stiff, mate, he was at the beginning? Goldberg, he was stiff, mate.
yep, because Jericho has called him out in the past. There is issues here. Jericho is not afraid of anybody. He is not. You ask Kevin Nash
Mm.
about that time because Goldberg was sitting in the back. He got this close. Jericho got this close, and Jericho even said, "I wouldn't. I wanted to bite his fucking nose." Jericho will fight you, no
Yeah,
matter who he is. The guy will, and he
good
doesn't
on,
care. He
good
wanted to
on.
fight. Yeah, the guy's a tough dude, man. I mean, his
Mm.
father was a fighter for the New York Rangers,
He
hockey
was.
team over here. Yeah, I mean, not a fighter, but we call him more of an enforcer here. A tough guy that's going to stand up for your men on the ice here. Zdeno Chara. We've had Matt. I was going to say Modine. Matt, whatever. Anyway, Matt Martin. That's who it is. Matt
Mm.
Martin for the Islanders right now. These are enforcers. That's what Jericho's dad was. So it's the lineage there. One of my favorite parts of this match between Goldberg versus Jericho was Goldberg going out and getting face to face with some fan dressed up as Tigger. I thought that was
Mm.
kind of interesting. And it was just very unexpected here. But do you think that Goldberg killed the business? This might be the first
No,
Goldberg match you and I did, by the way.
no, I don't. Don't blame Bill at all. Has he come back at certain times when I believe that he's probably been more hindrance than help? Yeah, but you can't blame Bill.
The one good thing about his comebacks is that his matches now are longer, so I know when I could take a shit during a pay-per-view
Mm.
and empty myself.
Yeah, call
I
that real
just
matches, aren't they?
that's letting something out. That's letting something out. It was, yeah, he was stiff. It told a story here. I don't think Goldberg liked it because it made him look human, because he didn't just
Mm.
squash the guy, because that's what he wanted to do, right?
Yeah, he
That's what
just
he
wants to get
always.
in, get business, and get out, didn't he?
His run, as soon as Goldust put the hair on Goldberg, you knew
Mm.
that they didn't give a crap. You knew that Vince said, you know what? WCW wanted to make this guy. I'll just put him down to a level of you're still WCW.
Yeah,
He
I'll put
did
it
this
with
with
you.
tons of talent there, tons of
Yeah,
them.
well, that's it. But I'd say best match I've seen Goldberg in a long time. Probably one of his best ever, and it's down to Jericho. But Goldberg has to get the win here. Does with the jackhammer. Is what it is, isn't it? We move on.
That shrug from you right there, it just shows. It's just like, I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
This is a let me out pay per view.
I've been as nice as I can about Goldberg on that one. I can't really say anything else about this one. But then we move on to the good again.
I do think that with Goldberg,
Hmm.
the problem is that we're just like, if it wasn't him, it would have been somebody else that did this. Remember, it was supposed to be. I think they were going to have Adam Bomb, Brian Clark, actually be that guy to face Kevin Nash or somebody for the title, and they ruined it. All right, so onward to what you say. You love this match?
I thought it was a good match. Didn't
I
think
don't.
it was a bad match.
This is what upsets me about this pay-per-view. You have the two guys behind me, and at this point, I'm just like, I don't even think that it was their best match. I don't even think it was something that
No.
was like.
The WrestleMania match was always their best one.
Of course. That's because you finally Flair actually did a cross body splash onto HBK.
It's just
first time ever.
Yeah, the emotion and everything that was in that match was just awesome. But in this one, it was good. It was a good match. Don't get me wrong. It was just I like the finish on this as well because it really fitted in with the whole evolution and everything else that was going on there. The young gun comes in to save the old guy, and where we move on, and it keeps the whole feud alive here and stuff really good booking.
Yeah, I'm surprised too because I'm like thinking about the time frames, and I think this is when right after Orton came back and he was doing those special vignettes
Updates.
Yeah, he got that sweet pillow from that sexy stewardess to help with that shoulder injury on the plane. So they made him less of a hi, I have character and stuff. So I'm just gonna be one of these guys. I'll bring him up again. I'll be the Sammy Guevara in this group.
Yeah.
To come up with current terms here, or current people. But yeah, he helps out Flair. Flair ends up getting a cheap win off of HBK. It was a good match. It was good. You expect perfection with these two, though. And obviously, Flair was not in wrestling shape at that point. He thinks he is now. Who's he facing for his last match?
They haven't announced it yet. Someone was saying Hogan, which I hope it's not. But to be fair, do you know what? I wouldn't mind it if it was Omega or someone like that can bang around it or Andrade. Do you know someone that can bump around for him? Someone who's a big enough name to warrant being Ric Flair's last match, but can do all the heavy lifting and bang around for him and make him look good.
Sid.
Is it softball season?
Yes, it is. So he's not available.
Yeah, no,
it's softball. Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean, don't you? Somebody that can bounce around for him and actually do everything. So Flair just needs to lock in the figure four at some point. And
it's definitely not Omega. I don't think Omega's coming back for a while. I don't even. I will say this: the guy should rest up because he's been hurting, dude. The stuff, it's not good. I'm not a huge fan of him.
No, I'm not, but you gotta respect him.
I'm appreciating him though. With what's going on in that company now, I'm more appreciative of him.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say is if he can wrestle with a blow-up doll, he can wrestle with a corpse.
That's right.
Which is why I picked Omega. See, there was logic behind it, Dale.
That was good. And to further the point, I do believe that corpses can hold their erections for 3 hours after they're dead. So Flair's not going to have a problem with that.
Well,
he never has a problem with that.
In terms of that corpse, it's been holding his erection for about 20 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, and spinning around on planes. He's performing a helicopter on a jumbo jet.
Yeah, kickstand for the goodie basket, the goodie trolley. But anyway, yeah, Flair gets the win here with the help of Randy Orton. Keeps on going with their feud. Next, we've got the Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Eric Bischof penultimate standoff on the triathlon. It obviously comes in threes, so and we have a sing off where Eric sings his own song, but he tries to mimic it. Then he sings it, and it's awful.
It was Milli Vanilli'd. It was Milli Vanilli'd, apparently. So Austin ended up saying, "Hey, you can't do that." I can't do an Austin too. I think I tried to perfect the Johnny Ace there. So I can't do Austin. I'm sorry.
One question I've got for you is, Why
Yeah,
did Austin not come to the ring for the final bit when Eric Bischof was singing? Why did he come onto the Titans run?
I really think that he at that point could just do whatever. I'm surprised he didn't have his quad and just came out to the stage with that. Not sure if Sheriff Austin was in town at that point.
No, don't think we were at that point, was we?
Yeah, so I think he just has an appear. I think he actually gets paid per appearance to go to the ring. So they
Mm.
might have just said here. It was definitely. I think it was also shot ahead of time too.
Yeah.
Just this is just the random crap that brings down this pay per view for me, though. Like this is why it's just like why does it? I think how many times does he have to come out to the ring, or do we have to see them on TV as a featurette? I
Mm.
get having people constantly go on there, like Vince, or Shane or Stephanie or Trippel H, something like that in modern times. Seeing them kind of adds to a story, but the story was already made. You had
Mm.
the triathlon. Just do the three things there and just please let us forget about it and don't bring it up ever again. Just not good. Just not good.
Well, the end was good, and the crowd went obviously got what they come for, and they got Bischoff thrown in with the pigs, which all that pig stuff was wet. It was wet. It wasn't like it wasn't like we've seen on some of them where it's dry stuff and they've just kind of hit it. It was proper wet down, and he hit it good like. But and then Austin celebrated with his beers. That's what people used to love.
That's what they want to see there,
We might have seen it a million times on telly, but somebody who's probably never experienced it before going to that show specifically to see that, they
in
got what they paid
Texas.
for.
Yeah,
Mm.
in Texas there. It was just
Like,
interesting.
it's like me going to Hollywood next year. If Austin comes out, clangs a few beers together, and just says hello, and then goes out again, that'd make my whole night.
That's right. Then you're going to be having something wet go in your pants.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. And it's not going to be mud.
it's when I cry though. It'd be tears off the exchange rate.
Oh, God. Ugh. It all depends, man. You're going to bring spare pants. This guy's going to come to Hollywood with the spare bag of pants in there. Or are you going to get the Roman Reigns shorts that says needle mover on them?
Definitely not.
No. What about
Make
the
it the Brock shorts.
the Brock shorts? What about the AJ Styles shirt from TNA that looked like cum?
No, definitely not.
I gotta find that. Not gonna buy it, but but anyway, this leads into okay. I cheated. I cheated here. You know how every time we say let's do a pay per view and not look at the stuff, I had to look at the actual card in the year. Okay, I didn't look at the matches, but as soon as I did see one match and I saw Kevin Nash's name, and I realized it's a post millennium Kevin Nash match. So I knew it was a piece of dog shit. Today is the 20th anniversary of the actual the quad tear on Raw. Did you know that, Andy? The 20th anniversary of the quad tear, where everybody just ran into the ring afterwards with that new NWO faction.
Yeah.
20 years of that shit. Let me tell you something. Hell in a Cell, I appreciate the fact that Hell in a Cell is called upon at random times. I appreciate that it's not, at this point, this is not a pay-per-view name like Money in the Bank. I always say, do not let the time of year dictate the match type, except for Royal Rumble, because it makes sense, because then you're going to WrestleMania, and then you could build up properly. This was done right. The problem is the match that we had. And one other caveat that I do not like is inserting Mick Foley into this.
I get why he's done it, because it's Mick and it's it's Mick.
But why does he need to be there? You are creating another different type of story. And this is why this also ruined Brock and Goldberg a year later.
Yeah.
Because Austin was inserted into that. If you're putting too many elements in there, then this is just one big clusterfuck of things.
I didn't mind Foley being in the match, right, because of the fact that, Hell in a Cell, it was Foley's match and all this stuff. That doesn't bother me. What does bother me is when Triple H just turns around and whacks Foley with a chair and makes him bleed. And it's like, now he's getting too far into it for me. Before then, he was okay, but then once he done that, he became too much for me in that match.
You're right, and you're taking away from the whole aspect of the match just from like now it's just Kevin Nash and Triple H, and then all of a sudden you could tell Nash is laboring. Like it just doesn't look natural for him to move around, especially when he's so tall and the
Yeah,
cage
he's just
is.
powerhouse, isn't he?
All right, what type of match does that work for? Does a Hell in a Cell work for? It could work for a powerhouse, could work for a technician, could work for an acrobat. Am I missing something? A heel, it could work for as far as somebody that's more conniving, thought provoking. But out of those that I just mentioned, a grappler too, because they could actually use that, to their benefit. But as far as a heavyweight type of guy, like a muscle dude, the match isn't necessary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you. Well, Triple H gets the win here, but I will say in this one though, he did do a good job, Kevin Nash, for what he had, and Triple H bumped around for him really well, and I thought the two of them had a decent match for what it was.
All right, let's point it out here, and we've talked about this. Triple H helps put people over, helps make people, especially even when he does those. I guess this could be on a suggested side, those over dramatic sells that he would do. Like he knew this was for the business, as long as he's not doing it every week or so. Flair would do the flop, but it's because of Impact. At this point, not the company Impact, but it's because of the impact of where he would just do the flop. But Triple H would actually help establish these guys. I mean, he did take a pinfall loss against Shelton Benjamin on a Monday Night Raw in one of the best matches that ever took place on a Raw. Now, this was around that time too. This was also around the Reign of Terror with Triple H. So during that time, he was able to establish these guys. I think that Triple H would then fight, if I recall, Kane, and that would lead to the unmasking. Am I right? Yeah. I don't know. Triple H was one of the best heels in the business at this point. I think that you cannot disagree with the fact that he helped make people, but also bury them at the same time. When we looked at WrestleMania 19, that didn't do anybody's favors.
No. But I say, you made them break them. At least he made them. Other people like Hogan and stuff didn't do anything. So
no, he just buried and then just told the Undertaker. Yeah, and he told the Undertaker that he broke his neck. Meanwhile, he missed the Undertaker missed him by how much? This much from the ground.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know why anybody would buy any merchandise from Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Right, overall pay-per-view, what are you scoring it?
This was a 3.
3 out of 10?
Yeah. Let me tell you. Okay, and I usually, if I give it a good grade, I'll say some negatives, right? When I give it a subpar grade or lower than that, I'll throw some positives there. You're starting the major heel push for Christian. You had a good match with Booker T here, told a story. In that, you also had Stacy Keibler looking fantastic. You had Chris Jericho wanting to get some licks in on Goldberg. So there was definitely, for people in the know, there was a story there. One other thing here that we didn't really talk about too much was that Scott Steiner was on this trajectory of, all right, you know what? You're going to face Triple H. You're going to lose at Royal Rumble, but we're going to get you somewhere. So they were still working on that. And they were trying to, I guess, go somewhere with him, right? At that point, and they would end up doing that. But, the Redneck Triathlon, the whole Mae Young eating her out with her, vagina that coughs. There's a lot of stuff in here that I just did not like, man. But yeah, we're going to go into, the SummerSlam next month. I'm sure that's fine. SummerSlam 02 was probably better because that was a top tier match. What did you think? What's your grading on this pile of
I'm going to give it 4 out of 10, right? It was better than Slamboree. Whether you like to admit it or you don't, it was better. There were some solid matches on this. I thought the bad stuff in terms of what they done with Austin and Bischof and stuff, they kept it to a minimum. It was just enough where it didn't become too much. You had the likes of Goldberg, Jericho, good match. La Resistance versus Kane and RVD, good match. Triple H, Kevin Nash was a solid match as well. So it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. It wasn't a great pay-per-view, but this was basically the B pay-per-views of that day. And for the B pay-per-view, it was a pretty solid pay-per-view.
We looked at Judgment Day 04, okay? And that was one that was definitely SmackDown only, and it was still excellent, if you ask me. We enjoyed that because
Yeah.
same concept, but you started a new feud between JBL and Eddie Guerrero that was just, no pun intended, it was a blood feud. And it was fantastic. You and I loved it. You know, the whole pay-per-view itself was fun, especially Mordecai. But I want to bring this up to you, okay? And this is something that major problem for me right now. Should we just have one title for everything?
No.
Really? Why?
Because if you're going to have it like now, I was all for one title, but seeing it back in action again where Roman's missing a lot of pay-per-views, I feel like it'd be good to have champion dotted on each one.
There's only one best, though, correct?
Yeah.
So are we looking at... It's not like we're sitting here going, here's Raw, here's SmackDown, and here's ECW's champion.
I think if they're not going to use the belts again and they're just going to have one title, they need to elevate the mid-card titles again.
Which they are trying to do. Okay.
Should have left the belts on 30.
Okay, but if they're going to give the Bible, hi, I'll hand you this Bible here. Oh yeah, you gypsies don't like that. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. If you're going to hand the title off, give it to Bobby Lashley. I don't think that's a problem. Especially if you're going to have Theory become, a contender here. Okay?
Yeah.
Obviously, Brock Lesnar was a audible. We knew that, too. Because of Cody Rhodes, they need this. I don't know. I think right now there's too many champions in the company. I think you just have your A champion, you have your B champion, you have your tag champions. Women's tag championship, that's fine, no matter who doesn't want to do it or who wants to have it, But have them be credible. Have them have reigns. Have them have good reigns. All right? Or just credible threats to them. I think that's a little bit more legitimacy, correct?
Yeah. I agree with you.
Do you remember, before we get off, do you remember there was, after one Royal Rumble, when the person would sign the contract for whichever belt there was? I forget who it was, but do you remember they had the Raw champion, the SmackDown champion, and the ECW champion? And it's like, why the fuck are you here?
Yeah.
Who was that? Was that Big Show at the time?
It was. I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
correctly.
The only person that would go for that is RVD, but that didn't happen.
Right then. Well, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Dale.
Wait a minute.
Be back with you, man.
It's always a pleasure, Andy. But I think it's my turn.
Go on.
I think it's my turn to pick one, correct?
It is.
I could do a layup for you, right?
Remember, you've got to watch it.
I do have to watch it.
I made that mistake.
You did. You do have to watch it, and I have to watch it too. And part of that is the fact that yesterday was Spring Stampede's anniversary, right? I'm sorry, not Spring Stampede, Canadian Stampede's anniversary, right?
Was it? I think it was.
Yeah, Canadian Stampede's anniversary was a couple of days ago, I believe.
Let me just concur.
Oh boy, here we go. Because we're all about facts here. All right.
Oh yeah, I'm not just going to take your thingy for it.
You want to take my thingy for anything.
So 1997, wasn't it?
Correct. So it could have been July 6th. But let me tell you, this was one of the best pay-per-views that ever happened. It's so good that Dave Meltzer even says that this is a top 5 pay-per-view for him. And that's even with all the AEW pay-per-views.
I know. Uncle Dave. It was the 6th, yes.
Excellent.
July 6th.
Well, let me tell you something. I am not going to pick that.
You prick.
I am going to pick an actual event that I went to and attended.
Ooh.
Great American Bash 2008.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'll have that.
Yeah, there you go. And
I'll take it on one. I'll take it on one condition. When we do the thumbnail, your head has to be the beach ball.
That Cesaro pops. Yeah, that's right. I'll look it up. But I will say this. In attendance, I haven't watched it for a while. There's some good stuff on there. There's a shit finish, but there are some good things on there. I will say that. Okay? Not to give you the pure layup, but maybe we'll do Canadian Stampede in a little bit. We'll see here.
Yeah.
Andy, it's always a pleasure. Welcome back to the dark side, my friend.
I'm made up to be back. Apologies for the little bits of technical issues. Obviously,
That's
brand
on
new
me.
setup, so it was.
That's on me.
We got there in the end. Oh no, my headphones as well were going, mate. So bit of both.
Is this when we insert a Raycon earbud sponsorship, right?
Well, I've noticed that my Wi-Fi was messing around because I had my earbuds in. It was messing around with it, believe it or not.
Oh, all right.
So maybe Beats because I'm going to go back to wired headphones from now on.
Yeah, look at us. We're looking all professional, aren't we? Except for my background, which I can't take off because my bed's not made.
All
Yes,
I can see is
that's
that
right.
Sean. That's Sean's nipple, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Sean's and his pants. And there's there's
I
Earl.
I couldn't even see his pants. I literally identified Shawn Michaels by his nipple then.
Well, we both have that Playgirl magazine. And look, there's Earl. Hold on, wait a minute. Earl's holding my headphone right there. We got to play around with these
on that bombshell. We're going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We appreciate every one of you who tune in to watch us each week, and we're going to be back with more content, and we're going to be here every week now because I have a new computer and a new setup. And we will see you again, same time, same place next week.
Encore. And thank you, Mr. Whiskey, for everything that you've done.